Sign up for PrizePicks using code NBAGoober for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Link is in the description. Sup, dude? From 1986 to 1992, the Detroit Pistons terrorized the NBA. They played aggressively, talked a lot of trash, and used violent defensive tactics to instill fear in their opponent. Because of this ruthless style of play, they were nicknamed the Bad Boys and quickly became one of the most hated teams in sports history. Leading up to the 1986 to 87 season, the Pistons front office carefully put together a roster of dudes that all had two things in common. They wanted to win, and they didn't care if they made any enemies along the way. The first and most important piece of the Bad Boys puzzle was Isaiah Thomas, who they drafted in 1981 with the second pick. When you look at Isaiah, he's not a scary guy whatsoever. He's this small guard with a big old smile glued to his face. But don't let the friendly demeanor fool you. Isaiah was a tough little shit who refused to back down to anyone. If he felt like he was getting punked, he'd lose it and start swinging for the fences. In these rage-filled moments, Isaiah kind of looked like an angry chihuahua. A year after Isaiah was drafted, the Pistons traded for the Prince of Darkness, Bill Laimbeer, a huge cracker whose main goal on the court was to strike fear into the opponent. In an NBA without flagrant fouls, Bill was vicious when it came to fouling. He would straight up just punch dudes in the face or throw them to the ground. He was evil, and sadly, for the rest of the league, evil had a partner. His name was Rick Mahorn. Rick was traded to the Motor City in 1985, and he was very pissed off he got sent there. He was pissed off because he hated Bill and Isaiah. Rightfully so. Isaiah punched him in the face and Bill did whatever this is. But over time, he put the hatred to the side and him and Bill became the most ruthless front court duo in the NBA. Like Bill, Rick was extremely physical and clobbered whoever came into the paint. With those two protecting the hoop, other teams were forced to pay a price if they wanted an easy bucket. From 1985 to 86, Detroit put the last pieces of the puzzle together. Like I just mentioned, they traded for Rick Mahorn, but they also drafted Joe Dumars. Joe was a vital piece for the Bad Boys, but he wasn't really a bad boy. He was known for being a really good dude, and the NBA actually named the Sportsmanship Award after him. In addition to this, similar to his teammates, Joe was very talented defensively. He was so talented that Michael Jordan said he was the greatest defender he ever faced in the NBA. Alongside Isaiah, the two formed one of the greatest backcourt duos in league history. In the 1986 draft, two players were picked by the Pistons. The first was John Salley, who was picked 11th and played an important role for the Bad Boys as one of the few level-headed big men on the team. He wasn't overly physical like Bill and Rick, but that didn't matter. He was a great interior defender and shot blocker who could come in the game and protect the hoop. Their second selection was a name most everyone knows: Dennis Rodman. Dennis was selected with the 27th pick and became a vital piece of the Pistons roster due to his otherworldly rebounding, defense, and hustle. Rodman did whatever it took to win. He didn't care if he had 0 points or 30. He went out every night searching for the toughest matchup, fighting for boards, diving for loose balls, you name it. He was the worm. With the main core of Isaiah, Joe, Dennis, Bill, John, Rick, and head coach Chuck Daly, the Pistons had assembled a damn near perfect team. In the 1986 to 87 season, the Bad Boys finished with a 52-30 record and had the 5th best defensive rating in the league. In the playoffs, they made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, matched up with Larry Bird and the Celtics. Boston won the first 2 games, then Detroit won the 2 after that. The series was tied 2-2, and then in Game 5, Isaiah Thomas made an oopsie-daisy that would cost them the game. The score was 107-106. Pistons were up. Larry Bird has the ball, he drives in for a layup, but Dennis Rodman was already soaring through the air and he gets blocked. The ball then gets knocked out of bounds by a Celtic and it's Detroit ball. Isaiah rushes to inbound and throws the ball right to Larry Bird, who passes to Dennis Johnson for a layup. Game over. The Celtics went on to win the series and ended Detroit's season. Don't worry though, the next year the Bad Boys got their revenge and beat the Celtics 4-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then they moved on to play the Lakers in the finals. By Game 6, the Bad Boys were up in the series leading 3-2 with a great chance to get their first ring. But little did they know, they were about to get hoed by the refs. In the third quarter of Game 6, Isaiah Thomas checks back into the game after spraining his ankle and proceeds to put up 25 points while limping around the court, doing everything in his power to lead his team to victory. It was straight out of a movie. With 27 seconds left in the fourth, Detroit led 102-101. The Lakers had the ball, they dump it to Kareem in the post, he goes for his signature skyhook, misses, but a foul's called. Where's the foul, you might ask? I have no idea. Lambeer, for once in his career, contested a shot without the use of mixed martial arts, and he sat there with his mouth wide open in awe of what just happened. Kareem then sunk both free throws, and LA won Game 6, then Game 7, and just like that, Detroit's season was over again. The bad boys were angry at the foul call and thought this was a move against them by the NBA. Pat Riley, the coach of the Lakers, even admitted later on that there was no foul on Kareem. After the turnover in 87 and the phantom foul in 88, the bad boys were fed up with losing, so they unleashed their rage on the rest of the league for the next 2 seasons. In 89, they completely dominated, winning 63 games during the regular season. Not a single player on the team averaged over 20 points per game. They played selfless team basketball. They were basically the 2014 Spurs with anger issues. Rodman and Dumars made the defensive first team. Rodman also came in 3rd for Defensive Player of the Year, as well as 3rd for Most Improved Player. In the playoffs, they beat the absolute shit out of everyone, dropping only 2 games out of 16. Both losses came from Michael Jordan and the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals. Mike was like a god on the court, and he gave the Pistons a run for their money. Because he was so good, the bad boys had a game plan to stop him called the Jordan rules. In short, the Jordan rules meant being very physical with Mike, forcing him to spots he was only great at as opposed to amazing, and if he gets too close to the hoop, swanton bomb that motherfucker. It worked, and Detroit advanced to the finals where they swept LA and won their first ring. Joe Dumars went absolutely stupid, winning finals MVP after he averaged 27 a night on 66% true shooting. The following season, they continued their reign of terror, finishing atop the Eastern Conference. The Worm won Defensive Player of the Year, while Dumars also received a lot of votes for the award, finishing 3rd. Both of them, of course, made the defensive first team, and Dumars was also selected to the All-NBA 3rd team. In the playoffs, it was more of the same. They ran through the first and second round and got to the Bulls in the conference finals, where they had a long and grueling series against their enemy Michael Jordan. The series went the distance, but the Pistons came out on top with an impressive Game 7 win where they held the Bulls to just 74 points. The only person on the Bulls who did anything that game was of course Michael Jordan, who had 31 points despite being assaulted the whole night. The Pistons then matched up with Portland in the finals, who had no chance against the bad boys, winning just 1 game in the series. Isaiah put up close to 28 points along with 7 assists a night, winning finals MVP. The following season, Detroit aimed for the three-peat, but Michael Jordan would end up getting his revenge after getting beaten up by them the previous 3 years. The Bulls obliterated Detroit, sweeping them in the Eastern Conference Finals. The hero finally defeated the villains. After the series was over, in true bad boys fashion, they refused to shake the Bulls' hands and just walked off the court, basically saying, "Go fuck yourself." There's no better way it could have ended. After that season, Detroit made the playoffs one last time but lost in the first round, and they decided to start the rebuild. The bad boys Pistons were ruthless, unlikable, violent, and dirty, but they were a damn good basketball team and did whatever it took to win. You may not like the way they played, but they don't care. They won. Twice. Alright, that's it. Click right there to watch my last video. It's NBA players I think could beat me up. Hope you enjoyed this video. Bye, dude.